Anthony Bonnici, welcome to 5 Minutes with O.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here today because I remember when we met a few years ago and Move Mountains, there was such a buzz around your stand that day. Do you remember that?
I remember it very, very well, actually, Leanne. We had a pastel sketcher there doing some drawings, and the whole idea to show people at the time was that you can actually change the way you think by getting you to be involved in something hands-on. And it really drew a number of people to the stand at that particular conference, and we reaped the success.
So you do this as a keynote. You use drawing as a metaphor.
Yeah. We use it as a metaphor as an extension of our keynote program, but the main thing behind it is a concept I call brain blinkers.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, brain blinkers is basically the mental barriers we have to high performance, the mental barriers we have to doing the things we like to do. They're very, very common, quite often ingrained in us at a very early age. And it was something that I thought about when I was a senior leader at a pharmaceutical company a number of years ago now, working with salespeople as the sales manager. And what I saw were people who really wanted to do well, but had something stopping them.
Which you've identified as brain blinkers. What are they?
The three major ones are really significant and can have an impact on how happy people are, how well they do at anything, and actually how long they live. So they are limiting beliefs, negative thoughts, and fear. So that self-talk that we have, that negative self-talk, the beliefs that we can't do something, and fear, of course.
Okay, so limiting beliefs is one. The second one is?
Negative thoughts.
And there are 6...
Yeah, there's 6 that we identify in the keynote and the program, the workshop, that talk about how we actually press the self-destruct button ourselves. We don't rely on anyone else to tell us how bad we are. We're actually doing it ourselves in our own brain and forcing ourselves to think a certain limiting way, their negative self-talk. It's when we put ourselves down. Finally, the final brain blinker we go through is fear. That feeling of, my goodness, the trepidation, the sweating, the learnt response that we have. That is something we can also tackle in this particular program.
And then finally, we put it all to the acid test,
Absolutely.
right?
The acid test is how we get rid of these brain blinkers, how we remove them. A is for being aware. Most of us aren't aware we hold these things true. Most of us aren't aware we actually have brain blinkers.
Which is why we do the metaphor.
Exactly right. C is for challenging the behaviour, or challenging the thought, the negative thought or the fear. Does it make sense for me to hold on to this belief? Does this belief that I've had for maybe 30 or 40 or 20 years actually still ring true? The I is imagine what would be possible if it changed. What would happen in your life? What would improve if you changed that belief? And finally, the D, ACID, is for do it. This is where we realise it's now time to make a change. Time to enrol in that course to learn a new language, or take some drawing lessons and take your skill to another level.
And just going back out there, believing in ourselves more.
Absolutely right. The end result is that someone walks out taller. They come out with a self-belief that they can actually do rather than thinking that they can't.
So I'm really clear how this relates to salespeople and sales conferences, and also for staff generally.
Absolutely.
But I love what you're doing in the leadership area with that.
In the leadership area, it's such a phenomenon, because if leaders aren't walking the talk, i.e. if they're not believing in what they've got as programs, as strategies, as visions for the company, then the rest of the people won't follow. So it's critical for leaders to know brain blinkers, be aware and be able to spot them in their people and be able to help them.
So you can teach them this at a whole nother level.
Absolutely right. It's like a train the trainer.
Anthony Bonnici, thank you for spending 5 minutes with O.